So this week we've been learning just little piecemeal about what was taking place behind the scenes in the prior administration at the start of the pandemic. One completely off the wall bullet point that we got was that Donald Trump was looking at sending Americans who were infected with the virus to the Guantanamo Bay detention center in Cuba. I mean, just completely out of this world, bonkers insanity. There is now a new report in Slate that summarizes more of what we are increasingly learning. And it is really wacky, wacky stuff. The Slate article says the evidence of Trump's pandemic sabotage keeps piling up. A new book shows how he concealed the crisis to protect his image, and it is unbelievable. The article talks about this book by Yasmin Abudaleb and Damian Paletta from the Washington Post. And it points out that they present their findings in the new book, Nightmare Scenario, inside the Trump administration's response to the pandemic that changed history. The book relies in part on interviews with former Trump officials, won't be available until June 29th, but there are excerpts quoted in the Post that describe several incriminating episodes. In at least two cases, Trump tried to keep infected Americans from setting foot in the United States, not to prevent the virus from spreading, but to prevent the infections from being counted as part of Trump's record. In one instance, Trump's opposition to letting 14 Americans return from a cruise ship, the Diamond Princess, the authors add backstage details. Trump complained to Alex Azar, his Secretary of Health and Human Services, that the return of the infected Americans doubles my numbers overnight. That was when Trump was telling us that 15 cases would soon be zero. The authors report that Trump tried to fire the official who approved the decision. The book also reveals a second episode, previously unreported, in which Trump repeatedly proposed that Americans who had been infected should be shipped to the U.S. military base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Don't we have an island we own? Trump asked. What about Guantanamo? The word island was central to Trump's idea. According to the authors, he was eager to suppress the numbers on U.S. soil and figured if you keep people off the mainland, they don't count. In both cases, the infected citizens could have been quarantined at facilities in the continental U.S. That would have impeded the spread of the virus, but Trump, in his own words, viewed the presence of such people on the mainland as a threat to him statistically. None of this should surprise us. Trump's biggest concern was testing, the authors write. By producing test kits for the virus and administering them to more and more Americans, doctors and the government were gradually ascertaining the breadth of the crisis. Trump chafed at this progress. He said it made him look bad because he figured if people weren't tested, infections wouldn't be recorded and it wouldn't be counted against him. The authors report a phone call to Azar. Testing is killing me. I'm going to lose the election because of testing. What idiot had the federal government do testing? This is not new information in the sense that these things were previously reported, but the degree to which Trump's sole and primary focus was how he would look. And, you know, the unfortunate thing about all this is that Trump doesn't care about anybody. He really doesn't. Trump doesn't care about his own followers. Trump doesn't care about even people who support him. He cares about them as long as they're useful to him politically. And when they're not, he throws them in the trash like garbage. But the one aspect of this that could have gone better would have been if Trump had realized at the beginning, the way to win this politically is by doing what the doctors say and doing, look at how New Zealand dealt with the virus. Look at how Taiwan dealt with the virus. There's other examples. It was really good for the leaders. And had Trump at the beginning thought, hey, forget about the fact that he doesn't care about people. He never cared about people. But if Trump had said at the beginning, the best thing politically for me is to manage this virus by doing a ton of testing, which helps people identify if they're sick and stay home and not spread the virus. If he had done that, it would have been good for him politically. And as I've said many, many times before, if Donald Trump had just done a passably okay job on the virus, he would be president right now instead of Joe Biden. There's no question about that whatsoever. But instead, Trump's concern was sabotaging the spread of the virus containment aspect in order to do what he believed, but wrongly so, that would look good. And in the end, it didn't help. It actually was a complete and total disaster. Just a couple of other things here. Trump and his aides belittled and resisted life-saving public health measures, obviously. The book reports that Mark Short, a veteran Trump aide serving as Pence's chief of staff, opposed a plan to send free masks to every household on the grounds that it would alarm the public. Senior Trump officials ridiculed masks, likening them to a training bra or underwear on your face. Short also opposed the economic shutdown that slowed the spread of the virus in March and April. And on the rare occasions when Trump pushed subordinates to move more quickly, he did so for personal advantage, not public health. In the fall, according to the book, he tried to oust FDA Commissioner Stephen Hahn for refusing to strong-arm FDA scientists into approving COVID vaccines before Election Day. One anecdote reported in the book is more significant than it might seem. In late March of 2020, Robert Kadlec, a senior HHS official, went to Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, with a plan to mass distribute masks. When Kushner learned the masks wouldn't arrive until June, he exploded. "We'll all be dead by June," he told Kadlec. In the Post's retelling, this conversation comes across as a tale of delay and frustration, but it's worse than that. It shows how gravely Kushner and others in the White House privately viewed the crisis, which Trump was telling Americans publicly the virus would soon disappear. That is the epitome and a microcosm of the entire handling of the virus. We learned from the Bob Woodward interview that Trump did. Trump knew it was more serious than he was letting on. He said he didn't want to scare people. Jared Kushner, based on this anecdote, clearly knew privately how serious it was. Everything that they did was based on their worst instincts, their most self-centered instincts, and a complete and total lack of empathy and concern. I mean, just a disgusting expose. No individual incident is particularly shocking because what was going on publicly was bad enough. But I believe that we will continue to learn more about this. Just about every week, we're learning more about what was going on, and it's as disgusting as you can imagine.